So here's a presentation on hurricanes, and so you'll notice there's a title page with 2 photographs. The first thing I would recommend is when you come into Google Slides is you're going to check this little explore icon. Sometimes it will give you options to make your slides a little bit, I guess, more visually appealing. So if I were to click on this one, it does the formatting for me, pieces the pictures together so that they're the same size. There's some cohesiveness to the placement of the photos, and then it will also change the formatting on your font text to match whatever's on this slide. So if you like the layout, you can also come in afterwards and you can still change this. So if you don't like what they gave you, you know, you can still change it afterwards, but utilize this to kind of get some ideas for better slide format layout, if that makes sense. So check that little explore icon and use it. So let's check on another page. So if we go to this one, never, well, I don't want to say never, always remember that your text should not take up more than 1/3 of your page. If it does, you're going to want to bring in one piece of information at a time. So you're going to want to animate this slide. But you'll see over here, here's some suggestions where they make the photograph larger. This one, they make it kind of opaque and they put your title on top of it, which is kind of cool. And you'll notice that this becomes less, it doesn't look as large in terms of that they spread the text box out. You could even make it a little bit wider. And then you could, if you wanted to center it. So the little Explore app on that corner can help. Let's say that I kind of like this one, so I'm going to leave that one there. Now on this one, you'll notice that there is no recommendation. So for something like this, there is a lot of text, so I might animate this text box. So if I click here, and I'm going to right click, and then I want to choose animate. Okay, so the cool thing about this is you can have it, let's do fade in on click by paragraph. So now when I go to present, watch what happens to the text. So the whole purpose of these PowerPoints and these slides is to present information in a visual way. So first of all, when I'm looking at this slide, if I came in from the title slide to present here, the first thing I notice is that the picture is off center. It doesn't look like it was intentionally placed there, so I might make this picture larger, maybe like the full screen, and I might make it a little bit more transparent so that the hint of the picture is there, but not that the picture becomes the focal point. And then when I click, it's going to bring in one bullet at a time because I clicked that paragraph option. Okay. It just makes it a little bit easier for your audience when they're watching your presentation, and you can talk about one thing at a time without revealing all of your future bullet points. So it's a little bit more, a little bit easier to watch. So if I were presenting this, I might make this picture like a full size. All right, so I'm going to center it. Notice those crosshairs. So if you're trying to get things kind of symmetrically placed or perfectly placed, use those guidelines. The horizontal one, this one shows you that it's placed horizontally in the middle, and then this one is that it's centered there. So now I can go to, I right click on my picture. If you don't have a mouse, then all you got to do is press Control and left click. So I'm going to go to Order, and I want to send that to the back. And then I also want to go to Format Options, and right here, Adjustments. I want to make this a little bit more transparent because I want my text to be visible. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using this photograph as kind of like a backdrop for my text. I'm actually going to stretch this because I want it full. And you don't want to do full screen photographs on every slide, but I think this is a good one to do it because there's a lot of text. So, and then what I would do is spread this out and, oops, excuse me. And then if you hit Command A, I'm going to enlarge the font. We have fixed all the text. We've gotten it resized. And I did stretch the box a little bit, so it's more linear, like it goes across the page. Naturally, the human eyes is trained to read left to right, and so you really want, when you have this much text, your eye to go clearly across the page. They'll still be seeing this photograph in the back, but it's more suggestive versus, look at me, you have to look at this image. So this is what it'll look like now when we present. So if we go from the title slide, just notice the difference here. So now your audience gets a moment to look at the photograph while you're mentioning your title. This is the before plan. During the before plan, these are the steps that would need to take place, or whatever you would say. And then in comes your bulleted points, one at a time. So notice just how much cleaner this looks. It looks a little bit more, it's actually easier to read also because of the text being so much. Like when you make it this large, you want to always remember that your audience is trying to keep up with you or trying to pay attention. And if your text is too small, you run the risk of losing some people who may not want to or can't follow really small text. So, all right, so far we have our title slide that we fixed. We made this one a full screen. This one we did a transparent background option, which is kind of cool. Now let's look at this one, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to hit this Explore just to kind of see what options Google generates for me. And if you don't like what you've clicked on, all you have to do is go undo, and it will put your work back. So don't worry about, like, if you click on one of these and you don't like it. If you choose this one, you can do undo here. All right, so for brevity purposes, I'm just going to choose this one, and I'm going to move this title box up. And let's go ahead and we're going to animate let's do just the title slide. So again, I'm going to make this bigger for the sake of my audience. Let's do 18. All right, so if I click on this one and I right click, which is control click on the keyboard, and I go down to animate, all right, I'm going to, let's fly in from right on click. This is only one line, so I don't really need the by paragraph. And let's do 2.5 seconds, play. Okay, so there's my intro. So I'm happy with that. Now with this, I can do the same thing where I can animate. Here I could do, let's stick with the same. You also want to remember not to do too many, I mean, like, it's kind of cool to play with all these fancy options. However, you have to remember it's your audience, your audience, your audience, because if you have these things spinning, you know, coming in, it's just really, sometimes it can be really distracting for people to watch. So let's see what happens. So while it looks kind of cool, it really is not probably the best option. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And I'm going to add animation. And let's stick with fly in from right every click. And we want to do by paragraph because, again, this is a lot of text. So if we hit play, this is what it will look like. You'll have your title, line 1, 2, etc. Okay, so another suggestion is, oh, did I lose that because I didn't save it? Sorry. So you can reorder these by dragging and dropping. So if I play, you'll notice that my text box will start coming in before my title. So if you've animated something out of order, then you can just click here. You can also animate pictures. Let's see. Let's do fly in from bottom on click. And let's do this one. Not that I would recommend doing every picture and everything on the slide. However, I'm just showing you for presentation purposes. All right, so if I'm on the previous page and I go here, it's going to start with a blank page, and then when I click, let me put the pictures first. Okay, present. All right, so first will come in my images, and then my text for the title, and my lines. So again, always keep in mind that you are drawing your viewer's eye to whatever information you want them to see. So something else to think about is borders and uniformity of images and things like that. Like all of these images are very square, which is fine, but you can come into format options and you can do things like recoloring. If you want it to be black and white, you could do like a yellow. That kind of washes out all the details a little bit, but feel free to play with these because some of these, like that one's kind of cool. You know, you can really make the presentation just a little bit different. So let's do, not that I would recommend these colors for this specific presentation, but I'm just trying to show you guys. I'm trying to find one that's decent. Okay, we'll do a black and white. All right. What else? So here you can also do the transparency. You can change how bright your image is. The contrast for the details. And then if you want to drop shadow, now this would be for something that's kind of like if I put this image up here to show you, because the drop shadow will appear right here just so you can see what it looks like. So let's make the angle, let's make this really visible. Oh, I'm on the wrong picture. Okay. So anyway, you can see that drop shadow. So if you, I mean, clearly I'm on a black background, so I probably wouldn't need one, but play with that. You can change the angle, the blur radius. All right, so I'm gonna turn that off, put my pictures back. You can also do like borders, add some visual elements to your page because sometimes it just creates a different I don't know, feature element just to add or beef up your project. So I'm going to add a line. And you can make this kind of artistically unique. So I want that to be straight. Let's say that I want it to go behind the picture. All right, and then you can come here. Let's say I want it to be the color of the water. Points. I can do dots. Okay. And if I right click, I want to send to back. So, I mean, and you can customize these guys to make it anything you like. Another good tip is using clip art or images from the web. So if I want to go insert image, search the web, I always tell my students to search for PNG, the 3 letters PNG, because PNG allows you to find images that have transparent backgrounds. So let's look for, oh, I don't know if I'll find anything with this one. So let's see if this one sometimes you'll import them and there will be the white box here, but you want to try and find pictures that don't have that white box behind your clip art or whatever, because I don't know, my opinion is it's just really distracting. So maybe I was going to put this image here. PNG is a great option to find elements that will improve your slides or add something different to it. You also can search for things like line border PNG. Let me grab one that's colored. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, perfect. So if I wanted to use something that was pre-made off the internet, like I could resize that, and now I have a border for my page. Let me bring this one to the front, just so I can move it. Now, when you layer something that's a full border like this, you have to remember that this is one big image. So if you put this in and then you try and edit your text, when I click on it, I can't because it's on top of everything. So you might have to slide it down and then choose your thing. Because also if I send this one to the back, if I send, I can't click on it, this one to the back, it'll go behind my pictures, which you don't want that to happen either, because then you're going to have like half a border. So use those image searches to help you. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, so this one I'm going to click Explore. There's no suggestions. So with this one, all right, I'm going to show you guys something. So on this one, if you duplicate, which is right-click, duplicate slide, right? So let's say that I want all of this information on one slide. So if I go to the first one, this could be, let me see what this is. Okay, so it looks like they've, okay. So let's say that I want this picture to change to a new picture on the second, so halfway through this information. So I'm going to go to here to my image search, and let's say I like this one, and I'm going to insert, okay, and I'm going to delete this one. Notice I'm working on the second slide, the one that I duplicated. Now to get the sizing perfect, I can copy the first one and paste it here. And then if I grab this other one and bring it to the front, I can, because you really want the sizing to be the same from the first page. So kind of, so I need to move this one over just a hair. All right, so now I can put this one, because the magic of making this trick work is that they're the exact same size. Okay, so from here to here. Let me delete this back one. Okay, so I have my two slides. Now, when you're presenting, I can always make sure your text boxes are as big as your text so that when you're editing. All right, so let's say I want these 2 points to go onto the new slide, so I'm going to copy, and then so I did Command C, and then I'm going to delete those bullets, and then I'm going to copy, actually I should, on this page, I'm going to delete these. Okay, so now you'll see I want this restock to appear in the same place it was on the first page. So all I did is I hit enter. Now you'll notice transitioning between the two, everything's the same. I obviously probably would have made this text box bigger. Let me do that actually, because your title slide should always, your title should always be larger than the font on your page. So always try and make them different. So I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to delete this one. Work with me, paste. Oh, didn't put it in the same spot. Yay. Okay, well, it's not putting it in the same spot. So, copy, paste. Oh, come on. So, okay, well, it's going to probably be in a little bit different location. I'll get it as close as I can, but this is something that, like, when you are doing this, you're going to want to set up your, whatever is going to be the same, set that up first. Okay, that's as close as I'm going to get. So now when you are animating this, I'm going to choose here, I'm going to animate. I could do fade in. I'm just going to leave all that for the sake of brevity. And then when you change to the next page, after this last click, this image just kind of looks like it's going to replace because everything's the same. So let me go to slide 2. And let's animate. Whoops. Fade in by paragraph. All right, so let's go to the presentation. This page looks horrible because I butchered it. All right, so I'm just going to click through quickly. All right, so now we're here, line 1, 2, 3. Now, if this was the same, you wouldn't have noticed that it was actually a slide change. It would just look like the photograph changed. And actually, I probably would leave the text here because it's already been revealed on the first one. So, yeah, so I would change that, but I think you guys can understand. So when you're switching, just leave that text there so that it's already showing. I guess I messed that part up. Okay. What else? What else? What else? So adding elements to PowerPoint, I'm just going to call it PowerPoint slides, whatever, can also help if you have things that are animated or things that move, not necessarily always video, although you can insert any video here using a simple YouTube search. So I'm not going to go through that because I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And the video just appears here, and then while you're in presentation mode, it doesn't actually navigate out of your presentation to a website. It just shows the video in your slide, which is very, very helpful. But I'm going to get rid of this helicopter picture because I would like to put a GIF or a GIF file in here, however you want to say it. So I did go to a Google search. I initially searched for helicopter, but I wasn't really finding anything. This one maybe looks close. But I did find some emergency GIFs that I thought were, like I liked this one right here. So if I click on it here, you're going to go ahead and right click, save image as, and I'm going to put red light GIF. I can put it right on my desktop or I can save it to downloads, doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to come back to copy of hurricanes. I'm going to go insert image, upload, and this open. Okay, so now I have a component in my presentation that it's not distracting in that it's so far off from what I'm talking about. And if you really find like that you don't want your audience to be watching this, you can animate it to exit out after, let's see, so fade out on click. So if I'm presenting, you know, you could have it there when your page loads, and then once you click, then that would go away. So kind of up to you, play with some of those settings, but adding GIFs is a great way to add to your presentation. I'm not going to edit this text box because I feel like I've covered that enough. The last thing about this specific presentation is having a source page like this. Like even in education, it's helpful and it's required a lot of times that you cite your sources. However, when you're in Google Slides, keep this little box down here in Mind, click to add speaker notes, because if I'm on this page, I want to know which one of these links goes with that image. So let me see. I'm going to guess it's this one. So I'm just going to copy this, and while I'm on this page, I'm going to paste it here. So I'm citing my sources for this page and documenting that this image came from this link. Now, I'm not sure entirely if that's the one because this isn't my presentation. And it will eliminate this kind of ugly end of file citation page. Now, if your teacher asks you to do it this way, but by all means do it this way. However, adding them per page would be probably more helpful. So if I were to copy this one and come here, and it is very important to cite where you're pulling these images from. So I hope that helps. I'm going to prepare one more video because I have a really cool geeky tech tip that I want to show you guys. So let me get all these videos put together, and then I will share that. So real quick, let's take a look at, minus this page. This looks, whoops, let's get rid of these because this looks horrible. Okay, but I'll leave this little line here. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to present the changed one. I'm actually going to All right, so now we're going to take a look at this presentation versus the previous copy. So I will go into present mode and just kind of let you visually see the difference between this one and the last one. And of course, I would be talking and reading each of these. And again, remember, like I tried to line these up as closely as I could, but they moved a little bit. So. All right. The end. So now let's go back to the other copy. I'll go here. So this is the unedited version. So I hope that helps. I'm going to put together one more tip, and I will be back in a minute. So this trick is kind of cool. This is a evacuation map for South Carolina. So let's say that I was working in Myrtle Beach and I wanted to inform people of the correct evacuation route for their area. This is a really cool way to create a GIF file for your presentation. So I've set up my slide that I want to be kind of my background for my GIF file. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this whole slide, and then if I go ahead and do a new presentation, don't worry about that it's not in this one because we're going to import it later. So I'm going to go ahead and paste here. All right, so let me get rid of this first slide. Delete. Okay, so now I want to add an arrow. Actually, let's do a circle first because I'm going to show Myrtle Beach, like, hello, this is where you are. So let's change the color. Let's say I want that to be red to match my font over here. So my first shape will be here. Make that a little bit smaller. Okay, so now that I have like, hey, Myrtle Beach, so I'm going to duplicate this a couple times because when I go to the website, if you want a slide or an image to last a little bit longer, you just duplicate the same slide. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to make 3. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, and then it will change to whatever slide 4 is going to be. I'm going to duplicate one more time. Now I'm going to delete this circle, and now I'm going to put in the arrow. Let's see. I want them to go up Route 501. So let's just say that I'm going to send them to Florence for their evacuation. So let's just go with a left arrow. And again, I want that to be red for consistency. And I'm just going to rotate it and point to Route 501. Now, obviously, like this would probably accompany in the city or the town of Myrtle Beach. It would probably accompany like a text of some kind. But remember, I'm just making a GIF, which is a visual display of information or images. So I'm going to go ahead and now that I've pointed at 501, I'm going to duplicate the slide again because I want it to last a couple seconds. And then one more time, so on slide 7, now I'm going to move this arrow to here because I don't want them to turn down 378. All right, so now I'm going to duplicate this so I have 3 of those. One more time, slide 10, I'm going to move to the next 501. 1, 2, and then one more. Slide 13. So all I'm doing is I'm kind of creating like a stop motion. Actually, I should point up here so that it'll go like Myrtle Beach, boom, boom, boom with the with these. Actually, I guess that would be here because they're going to go to Florence, I said. All right, so now I'm going to make 3 of these. So I have 1, 2, 3, and then on the last one, the 4th one, I'm going to point to, say, this green line, and then I will duplicate. And the last one, let's rotate this guy to get them to go down this green road, and duplicate 1, 2, 3. On the last one, I'm going to delete this, and I'm actually just going to come up here because I already made my circle, so I'm just going to copy this. Work smarter, not harder. Go to my last one, paste, and move it up to Florence. And then let's duplicate this so it lasts a little bit longer. Okay, so to get this text to look like this, like also think it doesn't always have to be horizontal, perfectly aligned. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. So feel free to get creative and to center my text, because when I first made this box, it was at the bottom. Use this alignment tool here. So if I wanted it at the top of my box or the bottom, but I chose center and center. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to animate this. I'm just going to put a title in there. You're going to want to open a new tab, and you're going to go to Tall Tweets. I know it's weird. Tweets. All right, right here, talltweets.com. And it will ask you to log in. I'm already logged in, so it skipped that step. So if I do select presentation, it's connecting with my Google Slides, and I want to choose Know Your Zone. And right now what it's doing is it's generating a collection of screenshots from that presentation, and it's going to put it together in a very quick kind of slideshow for me, which is better than putting it in my actual document here and clicking through it really quickly. So I'll show you the benefit of doing it this way. Okay, so now that my presentation is loaded, I'm going to go here. You can do anything from like 900 to 1200. Slide duration, I kind of want this to be a quick GIF file, so I'm going to do half a second, but you can play with this. Like you could do 0.03 or whatever, but I want each slide to show for about half a second because I don't want this to be super fast. Actually, I'm going to do a quarter of a second. Sequence of slides. Let's say, I don't know, if you wanted to reverse this, for example, and you know your slides here, you could do, but then the arrows would be wrong. But anyway, you could do like from Florence to Myrtle Beach, by going from 26 to 1, and all you would do is 26 to 1, or you could do 26, 25, 24, and then you could go back to 1, 2, 3. So you can make any sequence here, and the computer will generate it for you, but since I want to go from 1 to 26, I'm just going to leave that blank and create GIF. Okay, so after you get your GIF loaded with your width, the wider this is, the longer it will take to download, but as long as you're under like 50 slides or 25, just don't make too many slides because then it will take a really long time. So once you hit create and you see this is animated, then you're going to want to hit save and then go back to your copy of your presentation and go ahead and insert image, upload, and this is the GIF. And so now you'll see that it's animated, and I can resize this. So it seems like a lot of steps, but really it's not, and you can customize it to whatever you're presenting. Okay, so what I was thinking for nursing, this is a very cartoony model. Maybe you guys could find a more realistic image on Google that would be a little bit more accurate. But so what I was thinking is if you were to present something, a really cool way to show or demonstrate your understanding is that you could animate something like this. Like if your teacher were asking you to show, oh gosh, I don't know, how the blood flows from, I guess, one place to the other. Don't laugh at me. So you could put an arrow here. You could use different colors to identify different like kinds of movement, I guess. You could even put like a key in the corner. So like you could do orange, insert a text box next to it. This is, I don't know what you would say, like old blood or used blood. Please don't laugh at me. I never went to nursing school. Clearly I'm a techie, not a nurse. Okay, so there's my little key identifying that the orange indicates old blood. And then if you have, like you could just put that on like the first slide, duplicate. I'm gonna copy and delete this real quick. So if this is my main slide, I might do this for 3 so that the key is there for the whole thing. But then I want that key to go away while my arrows are working. Okay, so let's say I have this arrow, I can duplicate 3 times, and then I can move the arrow. All right, let's try that again. Okay, that was weird. So now I'm going to duplicate this one. All right, so you can see like quickly how this could become a GIF using this tall tweets. And then you're animating something and showing that you understand how the blood is moving through the heart, or how a surgeon might make an incision somewhere, or like, I mean, you guys probably know better than I do what kind of demonstrations or things you could animate using a GIF file. So I hope that helps. If you have more questions about how to do this, feel free to shoot me an email. And I will try and answer them as quickly as possible. But other than that, I hope you guys have learned something that will help beef up your presentations and make them just a little bit stronger.